President Trump has filed a $20 billion with a B dollar lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal and conservative media giant Rupert Murdoch. The president now accusing the newspaper of libel after it published a story about a birthday letter Trump allegedly wrote to Jeffrey Epstein back in 2003. Trump denies ever writing the letter. But a spokesperson for the Wall Street Journal's parent company, Dow Jones, released a statement saying, "We have full confidence in the rigor and accuracy of our reporting and will vigorously defend against any lawsuit." Joining us now is CNN's chief media analyst, Brian Stelter. Brian, thank you so much for getting up early after a long day of reporting yesterday. Just break it down for us. How significant is it to have a sitting president suing a news outlet over a story?
I have never found an example like this. There are lots of examples of President Trump threatening to sue news outlets, and there are some examples of him actually filing suit as a private citizen. But this is the first time that as a sitting president, he's actually going into a legal war with a media outlet. And of course, given the recent settlements by Paramount and Meta and ABC and other companies, there's a lot of speculation about what Rupert Murdoch will do in this case. There's a lot of questions about whether Trump is just trying to shake down the Wall Street Journal or pressure the Journal in some other ways. So we will see over time if this is a genuine, legitimate lawsuit with a real chance of winning, or if it's more of a PR stunt. Because having covered Trump for years, I know that many of his lawsuits are in part publicity stunts in order to get attention. In this particular case, this is a defamation suit. And the first thing you learn in a media law class is that the bar for a public figure to prove defamation is set very high. It's way over my head. It's high on purpose because public figures, are out there in the public domain. And there's lots written about them, and that's the way that the Supreme Court believes it should work as the precedent was set back in the 1960s. So speaking with First Amendment lawyers overnight, I have a sense from them they believe this suit is pretty weak. As one of them said to me, quote, "Just screwing up even badly is not enough for defamation. And how could the President of the United States show $20 billion of damages?" There are some details about this lawsuit that seem absurd. But as we know, the president has been able to achieve settlements with other media companies. So we will see what Rupert Murdoch decides to do in this case. But as you mentioned, Danny, the Journal is saying it has a lot of confidence in this reporting. And let's be honest, they would not have published this bombshell story if they did not believe that they were on extremely solid legal ground.
And it seems other people also believe that this is not the last we've heard, perhaps, from the Wall Street Journal on this topic. Brian, in your latest piece, though, you wrote that the mere threat of this lawsuit, and then, of course, the follow-through, opened a new chapter in the operatic relationship between Trump and specifically Rupert Murdoch. Let me get your take on this. Is Rupert Murdoch one who is known to back down from a fight here?
Not only does Rupert Murdoch love to fight, he's even fighting his own children. He was in court for the last 2 years trying to change the terms of their billion-dollar trust. He even went to war with his own kids. So that tells you something about Rupert Murdoch and his willingness to not only fight it out, but to try to stick it out for as long as he can. Look, these two men, it's like Godzilla versus King Kong. They come apart, they come back together. After January 6th, Rupert Murdoch said of Donald Trump, "We're going to make him a non-person." Right? Rupert Murdoch wanted to excommunicate Trump from the party. But then, like so many others, Murdoch fell back in line. So this relationship has many layers. It's very complex. Ultimately, Trump benefits enormously from Murdoch's television empire, Fox News. But at the same time, the Wall Street Journal is renowned for really high-quality reporting. And Trump doesn't want that. He does not want these stories that cast him in a negative light. I actually view his lawsuit as partly a message to other news outlets. Other news outlets have been pursuing reporting about Trump and Epstein, about that friendship from decades ago. So in some ways, by suing the Wall Street Journal, he's trying to have a chilling effect on reporting more broadly. He's trying to say to other news outlets, don't come after me, don't report on me, don't look into my past, or I'll try to ruin you. That $20 billion damages claim kind of says it all. He's trying to send a message to other outlets not to look into this.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is doing everything he can to try and make this story go away, including bullying media outlets into silence in a way that should alarm everyone. However, the more Donald Trump tries to bury the story, the bigger it seems to become. Joining me now to break it all down is senior MSNBC reporter Brandy Zadrozny and former U.S. Attorney and former Assistant Deputy Attorney General Harry Litman. Harry, let me start with you. What do you make of Donald Trump suing Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal, two stalwarts of the right? How is this going to go for him with his base and with the conservative movement?
It seems to me the single stupidest thing that he could have done, Melissa, and I don't understand where he thinks it's headed. First, as you say, it guarantees that every filing is another news cycle that brings it up. But second, he's now drawn a line. You know, he could have tried strategically to distance himself from Epstein, as others have done. Say we had a break in 2004. Instead, he's made it all about, is this notebook fake? And I'm sorry, anyone with any sophistication and knows how the Wall Street Journal's worked, that's going to lose. That's just a stone cold loser. And it just means he doubles down. And at the end of the day, the notebook comes out and makes it more likely it's going to, not to mention the deposition in the case. So it's a wretched idea for him, not the first time. But it's just it can only, if he stays with it, he's in quicksand deeper and deeper. The truth will out. Remember, the truth is a defense here, and he's going to have the burden of showing that it's false. You read that Wall Street Journal article. There's no doubt they have it buttoned down 6 ways of, precisely what's there, and they've seen it. They anticipated this, and they're ready for war.
Brandy, Harry's exactly right. The standard to establish defamation is incredibly high, but yet Donald Trump has actually prevailed in getting a lot of media outlets to capitulate, to settle even before these cases go to trial. Is that the strategy here?
Well, it definitely seems that way. At least that's the way that he's presenting it. And his Truth Social post, he ticked off a list of the cases that he has come on the right side of. He said, I've sued ABC, I've sued CBS, I've sued the Pulitzers, and I will sue, Wall Street Journal, and I am here for you. And so it's really important in terms of media manipulation. I think Trump's being pretty savvy here. He had a really, really big problem with the MAGA Epstein files and the way that was handled. You saw the things at Turning Points. I watch a lot of this.
I know, we make you watch a lot of this stuff. My apologies.
It is my pleasure, truly. But so I watched a lot of this media, and people were so angry in a way that I had never seen covering this for, over 10 years now. And so what do you do with that? And I talked to a couple MAGA influencers last night, but they told me very specifically that what this was a change in the narrative. And when you think about the really animating narratives for this MAGA base, one is this anti-pedophilia, Trump's going to do all this, but another one is enemy of the people.
Yeah.
And framing this, putting this on blast and making this like a talking point all day, it really has changed the conversation for the MAGA influencers, but not for the MAGA true believers. I'm on those sites as well. And for those sites, there's still a hefty group of people who take the Wall Street Journal at face value.
Yeah.
I mean, they're delusional sometimes, but they're not stupid. So they see what that is.
This is a core outlet of the right. I mean, it's not CBS, it's not ABC, and yet this is the hill he's going to die on this story. Taking on Rupert Murdoch, is this going to end the way it ended with CBS and ABC?
Well, I used to work for Fox News, and I know, another segment. But, this is not, Wall Street Journal is not Fox News.
Right.
The Wall Street Journal is Rupert Murdoch's crown jewel in his empire. And so I think it's very unlikely, their editor-in-chief, Emma, she was the one who stood by this reporting. So I just don't see this happening in the same way. Like you said, they were really ready for it. They had his denial. They know what he said. And so now he kind of had to put up or shut up, and this is what he's doing.
Welcome to The Weekend. I'm Eugene Daniels, along with Jonathan Capehart. Jackie Alamany is on parental leave. We begin this morning on day 13 since the Trump administration pissed off his MAGA base over the Jeffrey Epstein files, with no signs that Donald Trump has been able to regain control. In what appears to be an attempt to placate his supporters, Trump's DOJ asked a federal judge on Friday to unseal grand jury testimony related to Jeffrey Epstein and his close confidant, Ghislaine Maxwell. Not only do judges rarely agree to release such materials, which the law requires remain secret in almost all cases, but it would amount to just a fraction of the evidence collected in the investigation, a far cry from what his base has asked for. And after being besieged by increasingly bad news related to Epstein, Trump filed a libel lawsuit on Friday seeking at least $10 billion with the B dollars in damages against the parent company of the Wall Street Journal News Corp, its publisher Dow Jones, two reporters for the newspaper, News Corp chief executive Robert Thomas, and its owner Rupert Murdoch. He's suing everybody. The suit follows Trump's denial of the Journal's report that he had written a racy birthday letter to Epstein back in 2003. It's the morning, so we'll keep it cute. That the paper says featured a hand-drawn outline of a naked woman with Trump's signature placed below her waist, with a typewritten note that concluded with "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." I wonder what that secret was. The Journal said the letter, along with other birthday messages for Epstein, were among the documents examined by DOJ officials who investigated Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell years ago, according to people who have reviewed the pages. The lawsuit cites the fact that the Journal did not include a picture of the letter or the drawing in the article, claiming it failed to do so, quote, because no authentic letter or drawing exists, and that defendants concocted this story to malign President Trump's character and integrity to deceptively portray him in a false light. And late last night, a spokesperson for Dow Jones released a statement saying, quote, "We have full confidence in the rigor and accuracy of our reporting and will vigorously defend against any lawsuit."
Trump just made a big mistake, and I know he's instantly regretting it. On the surface, I'm sure he's going to try to put on a poker face, but this is a big mistake. Suing the Wall Street Journal, suing Rupert Murdoch, it's not going to work for a bunch of reasons, but there's a few. One, I know his lawyers are going to be running for the exit on this, right? Let's be clear about that. Because here's the thing. He's suing a fellow right-winger. And a lot of the lawyers that are going to be working for Trump here, they're part of the same legal community that's going to be defending Rupert Murdoch, another right-winger. It's going to create a lot of awkwardness and whatnot. Also, we need to understand that this case is so baseless that it's going to be an embarrassment, if not an ethical violation, to be on Trump's team. Remember, a lot of lawyers don't want to work with Trump anymore, even if they agree with him ideologically. One, because he often doesn't pay his lawyers. We've seen this saga before. But also, like, the lawyers that worked with him around J6 and his efforts to sue people during that thing, a lot of them ended up disbarred. Some of them ended up with criminal convictions. Like, they pled guilty in Georgia before Trump came back to power. Some of his former lawyers pled guilty to charges in Georgia, right? And so I think a lot of people are reluctant to work with him. But there's a little thing called discovery. And look, I'm not a lawyer. People who are actual lawyers will explain this better. But one, if Trump wants to sue them for quote unquote damaging his reputation, one, he's got to prove that what they did was false. And then also, he opens himself up for discovery, for deposition, right? And so if he wants to talk about whether this dirty thing he did for Epstein 20 years ago is fake, they're going to get to look in all of his documents from 20 years ago. They're going to get to look at emails. They're going to get to look at his deposition. They're going to get witnesses. Donald does not want this. He just stepped into a big, big bear trap.